Hey, welcome back to the shop. So today we're going to start building a forge. Not just any forge, but this is Dave Lisch's design, which on Instagram he did a whole story about how to build this forge. And if you don't follow Dave, 100% recommended. The guy, he's a true artisan. Master smith, makes some of the most creative blades that I've seen, and he's probably my favorite blade maker out there for sure, and just seems like an all-around good guy. But he designed this forge, and he says that it will run 60 hours on a 25-pound tank. So 25 pounds, the one size up from the propane tank you'd get at Home Depot or Walmart or wherever. So that's a whole lot of efficiency right there. And we're going to start with the burner, and here's all the parts right here. And I will leave a list of these parts down in the description below. So the first thing is you need a 2-inch piece of 1-inch black pipe, basically is what I got. And obviously this is longer, but we're going to do some forging on it to flare an end and reduce the other, so that it will attach to this 3/4 inch piece of black pipe. And this is 7 inches. And these two things, I just went to a construction site and asked them if they had any scrap black pipe, and have tons of it. So if you find a cool guy, he'll just give it to you, whatever. The next thing is this 3/8 inch by 7 inch pipe nipple, which I got this just at Home Depot. And then I have this other 3/8 pipe nipple, 1.5 inches long. This may not be necessary. It just depends on the hose that you have. If your hose has a female end, you'll need this. If it has a male end, you won't need that. So the next thing is these two 5/8 inch nuts. And then you'll need a piece of 7/16 rod, just a little chunk of it. And then you'll need a 5/16 nut and bolt. The Dave recommends an 1.25 inch long nut, or an 1.25 inch long bolt. But this is kind of what I had, so we'll use that. But I might have another option for that. And then the next thing is a number 70 drill bit. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's an itty bitty little guy. And then you'll need an 11/16 drill bit, but you may not need this, because the purpose of this is to drill these nuts out so that this nipple will fit through those. But a 3/4 inch nut is actually drilled out to 11/16. So this may work. If you have these, you can probably use these without drilling them out. And then you'll need a ball valve, 3/8 ball valve. And this is for your hose to hook into, a little shut-off valve. And then, of course, you'll need the hose to go from the propane to the forge. So I will leave a list of all this stuff in the description below, as well as this list here, which you could just screenshot and use. So I have one part update. So this nipple right here isn't gonna work for me anyway. It might for somebody, but I needed the 3/8 MIP to the 3/8 flare to be able to fit my hose onto the burner. And there's a straight one and then an angled one. It really just depends on how you want your hose oriented. So I just wanted to point out, when I first started knife making and blacksmithing, I was actually afraid to make my own forge And at that point, I kind of didn't really have the knowledge to do it. But knowing what I know now, that's the only way I would do it going forward. Just because, I mean, you're paying a crazy amount of money for a really nice forge. I mean, $1,000 to $2,000 for a chili forge. And when you pay, you know, $400 or $500 for like a Majestic that you see on Forged in Fire, you're kind of getting what you pay for it. It works, obviously, because that's what I've been using for the past 5 years, but it's really not efficient. I blow through propane like crazy in that thing. So if you're afraid to attempt making your own forge, you really don't have to be, because you're not going to screw anything up so bad that, you know, you're going to blow yourself up. And that's kind of what I was worried about, that I would blow myself up or blow the propane tank up. But knowing what I know now, it's a pretty simple process. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stoke up the forge, and we're going to heat this guy up on the end, and then we're going to put this on the anvil and we're going to flare this end out. So I'm just starting with this little ball peen so that I can actually get inside of here and start flaring this out. And I didn't cut the 2 inches I need off of this pipe so that I had a way to hold on to it. So after I flare this, then I'll cut off the 2 inches. All right, we're getting there. Okay, now that I've got this end flared, I'm going to measure 2 inches. Give myself a mark here. Then I'm going to cut this off, and then we're going to reduce this end. Okay, so now I'm going to stuff this back in the forge here. Now we just need to start reducing this end so that it'll fit on the 3/4 inch pipe, so it'll mate up with it. Oopsie. So you'll just want to get your 3/4 inch pipe and put it on there until you've reduced it down to where that's going to fit. So we need to go just a little bit more. Just kind of check it to make sure you're still round. We actually might be good there. Take your pipe, fit it up there. Yep, I think that is almost perfect. It's a little oblong on one side right here, so we'll give that a couple taps. And we're gonna be good with that. So we have to weld up those two pieces of tube, but I want to get the other parts ready that needed to be welded so I can just do all the welding in one shot. So the first things I'm going to drill are these 5/8 inch nuts. And we want to drill 11/16 out of the middle of them so that this nipple will fit inside of those nuts. So the other option, if you don't have an 11/16 or if you don't want to buy one, I think you can get 3/4 inch nuts, and then that'll already just slide right inside of them. My only concern is that maybe Dave had a specific distance that these are supposed to sit off of that flared end, and by drilling these down it makes it the right distance. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that this would work just fine if you went this route. But I'm just going to stick with Dave's instructions, and I'm going to drill out these 5/8 inch nuts. Now these nuts are drilled out perfectly to fit around this 3/8 inch nipple. And that's actually a little bit better fit than those other 3/4 inch nuts. So this is going to be my only deviation from Dave's plan. So he recommends getting a 5/16 nut and bolt. And then what he does is he takes this and he welds it to this 5/8 nut. And then that way, once it's welded, you can tighten this down and keep this nipple from turning around. So my idea was just to drill a hole in the 5/8 nut, tap it to 1/4 and then pop one of these things in here. Because also on his design, he puts a washer on the top of here to use that as a point to tighten and loosen that. So I figure since I already have some of these, I'll just drill the 1/4, tap it, and then pop that in there. Of course, I'll shorten that down, and then I can use this to tighten and loosen. And of course, I missed the center. I probably should have done a better job with that. All right, got that tapped to 1/4. Now this should fit right in there. Beautiful. And if for some reason that doesn't have enough thread to catch, then I'll just weld a nut on there, but I'm pretty sure that has plenty of thread. So the last thing I need to do before welding is I need to put this piece of 7/16 inch rod into the end of this nipple to plug this back end. All right, I think we got that in there good enough. So now I'll just weld around the edges to seal it up. All right, the first thing I'm going to weld is the 3/4 inch pipe to the 1 inch pipe. That's my sweet welding job. I'll obviously have to go clean that up a little bit, but not too worried about that at the moment. Okay, next I'm going to weld this up, the plug in the pipe nipple. Now the next step, I'm going to throw this in here. So we have to put the pipe nipple through the nuts, and then we're going to set this on top of the flared end of the 2-inch piece, and we're going to get this centered over that pipe, and we're going to want to scoot these nuts out as far as we can, and then just check to make sure that's pretty close to centered in that pipe. And then once we get that on there, we're just going to tack weld this. Ooh, that's hot. And same on the other side. Flop this over so I can get to the bottom a little better. All right. Okay, now we have all these pieces welded up that we need to weld up, and we are really close to finished with this burner. It's ugly. My welds are horrible. Sorry about that. But the important part is that got everything welded up, pretty much ready to go. So here's the nipple with the plug in the end. We've got a little locking mechanism that I will be cutting off to make it a little less cumbersome. The last thing I need to do is I need to put this about where I'm going to want it, lock it down. I need to make a mark where my number 70 hole is going to go. So basically just right in the middle of this pipe. And once I do that, I'll connect the hose and we'll see if this guy does what it's supposed to do. So this thing is all hooked up to the gas. Gas is on. Valve works. It's coming in there. From what I understand, these work a lot better once they're in the forge, as long as your hole is the number 70 hole and you're running this thing at like 30 psi to start, it should run just fine. But as for now, it's a little bit, it comes on and stays on, but not as well as it will once it's in the forge. The only adjustments are really just rocking this back and forth to get that hole where you want it, and it'll choke up the flame. And then of course you have your little ball valve here, which, just remember, the ball valve is not used to shut off the gas. You shut off the gas at the tank, so always remember that. This is just for adjustment. All right, so here it is. This is the burner. I mean, this thing was incredibly easy to make, cost practically nothing. I mean, there's a few parts I had to buy, but a lot of people might have this stuff just sitting around, you know. I will be making more of these just because, I mean, really, they were so simple, and I have extra parts, so why not, you know. So the next video will be the making of the forge and getting this put in the forge, and hopefully having a brand new gas efficient forge. But anyway, if you have any questions on the making of this, please feel free to ask me. Also, go follow Dave Lisch on Instagram, and he's got his making of this saved in his stories, so you could watch him make it as well. So again, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you in the next video.